Hello, welcome to Josh Anderson Art. Doing my series of live cartoon drawings every day, just to keep practiced, keep drawing every single day. Today we're drawing Garfield, and the series I'm doing is actually cartoons, animated shows that me and my brother watched growing up, ones that are really nostalgic to me. I made this big old list here on my YouTube playlist. It's called Vintage Retro Memories. Just about every cartoon I can remember watching as a kid. And so today I kind of want to explain that Garfield is most known, we know, from the comics, from the newspaper comic strip. And so that's not the Garfield I'm drawing. There's not a lot of difference, but I am drawing the animated Garfield from the Garfield and Friends show. It started in the late 80s and ran, I think, through the mid 90s. And Garfield is kind of interesting, how Garfield was developed and how he changed over the years. Obviously, his creator is Jim Davis. And I happen to know the history kind of well because I always wanted to be a comic strip artist. And Garfield was actually one of my favorites growing up. And kind of I've modeled my characters a little bit after Garfield, like these big eyes like this, the big, really big eyes, I think is what I always got from Garfield. And just also having a cute animal character as your main character I was influenced by Garfield. Anyway, so Jim Davis, when he started out, his first idea for a comic strip was about gnats, like little bugs. And I think it was pretty funny. I think I've seen a couple of them, and it seems like they were pretty funny, but the newspapers just didn't ever think anybody would ever connect with a bug. I think Jim Davis kind of came up on that realization over time and realized that everybody likes characters that are cute, cuddly animals. And that was when he decided to try a cat. And the strip really started out with this, all about this really lazy cat named Garfield. And I think it was actually a pretty good idea for a strip. It was really funny. But then he decided to be kind of a tycoon, I guess you would say, with his Garfield empire, and it got more and more popular, and everybody knew who Garfield was, and he was just raking in the money. And what you realize in the cartooning industry is if you get known, there's probably literally millions of dollars to be made licensing your characters through like like having them made into toys and printed on lunch boxes and on and on and on and on. Like it's just endless what you can do. And he kind of decided that he was going to make his cartoon as easy to do every day as possible, like make the jokes as easy and draw it and everything as easy as possible. So over time he developed in a corporation called Paws Inc. And so he hired people to do everything with the comic strip so he could concentrate on, I guess, the business end of it. So I think he still writes the jokes, maybe even sketches them out, but he's got guys who draw the comic strip, ink it, color it, and do all that for him, and he pays him. And he took the exact opposite route of Bill Watterson, inventor of Calvin and Hobbes, who really just believed in the comic strip as being it. And to do anything else would be to kind of sell out and to ruin the heart of it. And I think like both guys I actually think are kind of respectable in one way or another. I honestly think I would take Charles Schultz's route a little more than I would take Jim Davis's, because Charles Schultz obviously licensed the Peanuts characters out and he became a millionaire because of it. But he also always wanted to draw, be the one who drew Peanuts. And so he continued to draw Peanuts until he died, or right before he died. And Jim Davis doesn't always necessarily draw Garfield anymore. So I think if I were of the two, I would choose Charles Schultz route. But I've always respected Bill Watterson's choice to never license and to just stick to the comic strip, and two, to retire when he was at the top of his game. I think that's kind of where people have a hard time. It's like, if you're making money, people still love the characters. Why would you quit ever? And I think the Simpsons are a real good point in case that, man, I really think they should have just gave it up a long, long time ago, because it loses something over time. And I think you kind of run the course of what the characters and everything were all about. And so then you end up in a place of just sort of trying to push out stuff just to make it happen. And man, The Simpsons used to be one of my favorite shows. And now whenever I catch one, I'm just like, it's just not what it was at all. It's just so, they're trying too hard and kind of relying on their old formula that they've used all the years, but then just trying too hard. Anyway, that's kind of the story of Garfield and how he went from being a lazy fat cat to this kind of empire of licensed stuff. And I think that's kind of where Garfield lost it. The strip is probably sometime when Jim Davis started to kind of farm out people doing everything for him, and then making more mainstream and everything. And I don't know, I kind of like the way his character looks, the way he was developed. But actually, I really do. I like this look right here that I'm drawing. This is sort of his kind of what he was finalized into. But he did start out looking a lot more like a house cat, just really lazy and droopy jaws and stuff. And I read somewhere that Jim Davis was having a hard time with his feet and just making him do things because his feet are just like cat paws, And he actually talked to Charles Schultz, and Charles Schultz said, you know what? If you want him to stand up and to work better, kind of more like an anthropomorphic character, give him really big feet. Jim Davis tried that out. As you can see, Garfield now has really huge feet, and it worked for him. And he kind of got over a hurdle there, was able to do things with Garfield he couldn't do before.
Garfield and friends. Friends are there. To help you get started, to give you a push on your way. Friends are there. To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day. They'll quick to open your mouth. Help you swallow your pride with something inside that can make all through in the other time. Friends are someone you can open up to. When you feel like you're ready to play. When you got friends are there to give you a tip. Friends are right there you before you. They're even there when you wait. For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark. Friends are there. I don't care. And will care for you. You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated. Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there. To help you get started, to give you a push on your way. To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day. They'll pick you up when you're down. Help me swallow your pride when something inside has got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to let
When you got the world on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there, you need them. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, or a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Friends are there.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
They'll pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride when something inside got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to let
When you got the world on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there, you need them. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, or a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Friends are there.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
They'll pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride when something inside has got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to let
When you got the world on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there, you need them. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, or a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Friends are there.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
They'll pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride when something inside has got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to let
When you got the world on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there, you need them. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, or a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Friends are there.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
They'll pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride when something inside has got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to let
When you got the world on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there, you need them. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, or a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, give you a push on your way.
Free, brother.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
To pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride, but something inside is got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to quit,
When you got the boy on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there you be known. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Free, brother.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
To pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride, but something inside has got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to quit,
When you got the boy on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there you be known. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Free, brother.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
To pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride, but something inside has got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to quit,
When you got the boy on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there you be known. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Free, brother.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
To pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride, but something inside has got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to quit,
When you got the boy on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there you be known. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Free, brother.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
To pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride, but something inside has got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to quit,
When you got the boy on your shoulder.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there you be known. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are the
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
friends are the
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
to pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride with something inside that can make on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to go,
When you got the world on your shoulders.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there, you need them. They're even there when you're down.
For a walk in the park, or a time to start, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are the
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
friends are the
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
to pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride with something inside that can break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to go,
When you got the world on your shoulders.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there, you need them. They're even there when you're down.
For a walk in the park, or a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are the
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
friends are the
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
to pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride with something inside that can break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to go,
When you got the world on your shoulders.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there, you need them. They're even there when you're down.
For a walk in the park, or a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are the
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
friends are the
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
to pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride with something inside that can break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to go,
When you got the world on your shoulders.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there, you need them. They're even there when you're down.
For a walk in the park, or a shot in the dark, friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are the
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
friends are the
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
to pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride with something inside that can break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to go,
When you got Born on your shoulders.
Friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there you need them. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark. Friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
Your friend is confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Friends are there.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
They'll pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride, but something inside got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to flip,
When you've got the world on your shoulders.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there you need them. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark. Friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Friends are there.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
They'll pick you up when you're down.
When something inside got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to flip,
When you've got the world on your shoulders.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there you need them. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark. Friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Friends are there.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
They'll pick you up when you're down.
Help you swallow your pride, but something inside got to break on through to the other side.
Friends are someone you can open up to.
When you feel like you're ready to flip,
When you've got the world on your shoulders.
friends are there to give you a tip.
Friends are right there you need them. They're even there when you go.
For a walk in the park, for a shot in the dark. Friends are there.
I don't care.
Friends will care for you.
You folks have this confused. I'm real and you're animated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. Friends are there.
To help you get started, to give you a push on your way.
Friends are there.
To turn you around, get your feet on the ground for a brand new day.
They'll pick you up when you're down.